Thanks for tuning in to Operation Revenge. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin the story. I was in the middle of going through some client paperwork when my phone rang. The name on the screen made me sigh before I even picked it up. Olivia. Hey, I answered, trying to sound casual. Emma, guess what? I've booked the venue for the wedding. Olivia's voice had that high-pitched excitement, the one she used when she was about to tell me something I wouldn't care about. Wow, that's great, Liv. I know, right? It's at this incredible place, super exclusive. The guests are all high society types, the real people. I nodded to myself, fighting the urge to roll my eyes. Sounds fancy. So when is it? December 10th, and I want you to be my maid of honor. I tried to keep my voice steady. Oh, well, thanks for asking. That's nice. But something in her tone shifted, that confident, slightly condescending edge creeping in. Of course, you've been so supportive of me, but I should probably mention it's a really exclusive crowd. Like the ceremony and reception, it's all high-end. So I'm only inviting real people. I was still holding the phone, trying to stay neutral. Real people? What does that mean? She laughed, but it felt a little sharp. I mean, people with status. I don't want the day to be tainted by modest lifestyles. I froze, my stomach tightening. Liv, you're serious right now? Oh, don't take it the wrong way, she said quickly. You're important to me, but you know how it is. It's a very refined crowd. A cold lump formed in my throat. I swallowed it down. Right. So, I'm not invited? She paused, the silence hanging heavy. Not to the ceremony or reception? No. But you can help behind the scenes, if you want. My mouth went dry. Yeah, sure, I'll help. Great. I knew you'd understand, she chirped, but there was no warmth in her voice. I hung up without saying goodbye. My hand lingered on the phone for a moment as I stared at the wall. My sister had just told me she didn't think I was good enough for her wedding. A wedding that, by the way, was supposed to be for family. I pushed the feeling down. I had work to do. I sat at my desk, the paperwork in front of me completely irrelevant now. My fingers drummed against the wood, my mind replaying Olivia's words over and over. Real people. Exclusive. I could still hear the dismissive tone she'd used when she mentioned my modest lifestyle. It was hard not to feel the weight of it. Her wedding, the one she'd been planning for months, was already a clear divide between our lives. On one side, there was her, the glamorous social media influencer who'd built an empire on looks and popularity. On the other side, me, the financial advisor with my own quiet success, making real, substantial decisions for people who would never see my face on a magazine cover. I thought about the times we were close. Growing up, Olivia and I were inseparable, playing dress-up in the backyard, staying up late to talk about anything and everything. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being her partner in crime, and she started becoming the center of attention. The moment she caught the eye of the influencers and brands, she seemed to think I was just too boring for her world. Too ordinary. I pushed the thought away and focused on the task at hand. It didn't matter, right? I had my own life. I was proud of my career, even if Olivia always overshadowed it with her fame. But her rejection still stung. December 10th. I had to remind myself that it wasn't my wedding. But that didn't make it any easier. I remembered our grandmother, how she'd always dreamed of seeing both of us marry at a fancy venue. Something grand, something worthy of her vision. I had always thought I'd be there for Olivia, to support her the way only family can, even if I wasn't part of her real world. It wasn't supposed to feel like this. It wasn't supposed to hurt this much. The phone rang again, and I glanced at the screen. Olivia. I let it ring twice before I finally swiped the screen. What now? Emma. Her voice was chipper, like nothing had happened, like nothing had changed. I need a favor. I clenched my jaw. What is it? So, I've been running into a little trouble with some of the vendors for the wedding. Some of them fell through, and I'm kind of stuck. I really need your help. With your connections. I exhaled slowly. The calm, polite version of me wanted to snap the phone in half, but I held it together. I'm sure you've got it covered, Liv. No, I don't. Her voice was firm now. That's why I'm calling you. You're the only person I know who can actually make this happen. I wouldn't ask if I didn't think you could help. I could feel the pressure building in my chest. What exactly do you need from me? There's this supplier for the flowers, and I had this photographer lined up, but they dropped out last minute. I need someone who can step in, someone with a little more pull. I know it's last minute, but you're the only one who can make it work. It was just a favor. I could do this. But as I sat there, listening to her, I realized she wasn't even acknowledging how hurtful her words had been earlier. No apology, just an assumption that I'd drop everything to fix her problems. The anger bubbled up, but I kept it inside. Fine, I'll take care of it. You're the best. I knew I could count on you, Olivia said with a sigh of relief. I'll send you all the details. Thanks again, Emma. I hung up without another word. My hand stayed on the phone a moment longer than it should have, like I could still feel the weight of her callousness on me. What did she even think I was? Some tool she could call up when it suited her, but forget about when she didn't need me? I leaned back in my chair, staring out the window. Maybe I could fix things for her. But this time, it wasn't just about doing her a favor. It was about proving that I wasn't just the quiet, invisible sister anymore. She had made her choice. Now, I was going to make mine. I leaned back in my chair, feeling the tightness in my chest. I had just agreed to help Olivia, but the anger simmering beneath the surface was harder to ignore now. I glanced at the phone in my hand, still buzzing with the aftershock of her call. She'd treated me like I was just a convenient resource, nothing more. A few minutes passed, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being dismissed. I had always known Olivia was self-centered, but I didn't realize how deep it ran. She didn't even apologize for excluding me from the wedding. No, instead, she'd thrown out a few words to make it sound like it was my choice to step aside. Modest lifestyle was her way of making it clear she thought I didn't belong. And now, here she was, asking for yet another favor like nothing happened. I glanced at the clock, still trying to gather my thoughts. The way she phrased it, "You're the only one who can make this happen." She didn't even bother pretending she cared about me. It was always about what I could do for her. I exhaled sharply and picked up the phone again. The screen lit up with her name. "Hey," I answered, trying to keep my voice steady, even though I could already feel the resentment creeping in. "Hi. So, I'm really counting on you to help with this. I know it's last minute, but..." She cut herself off before I could respond, the tone in her voice already annoyingly upbeat. "You've already said that," I said, my tone clipped. "What do you need, Olivia?" "There's this thing with the photographer." The one I hired pulled out. They had a personal issue, or whatever, and I can't get anyone else on such short notice, unless you can make a call. You know the right people, right? I squeezed my eyes shut, trying not to lose my cool. "I'm sure you have a backup plan, right? A second choice?" She sighed dramatically, the sound so grating I could almost hear her rolling her eyes. "Emma, I don't have time to deal with second choices. I'm calling you because I know you can fix it. You're so good at this, you know?" "Good at what exactly?" I bit the words back before I could say them. I had to remind myself I was playing a game now, a game she didn't even realize she'd started. "Look, I'm not asking for much," Olivia continued, as if she were doing me a favor by calling me at all. "Just, if you can't get this photographer, maybe you could help me find someone else. I'm sure there's someone on your list. I'm counting on you, okay?" I forced myself to take a slow breath. She still had no idea how insulting this whole conversation was. "Sure, I'll see what I can do." Olivia's voice brightened immediately. "Thanks, Emma. You're the best. I knew you'd come through for me." I could feel my nails digging into my palm as I held the phone to my ear. "Of course," I said, my voice colder than I intended. "I'll send you some options by tomorrow." "Perfect," she said with too much enthusiasm. "I knew you'd get it done. You always do. I'll talk to you later. Thanks again, Emma." She hung up before I could say anything else. The line went dead, leaving me staring at the screen. I should have felt better about agreeing to help, right? But I didn't. I felt small, reduced to a phone call away from fixing her mess. It wasn't that I didn't have the connections or the resources to do it. I knew exactly who to call. I could make this happen, no problem. But it was the way she expected it, the way she still thought of me only as the person she could count on when she needed something, the way she still hadn't acknowledged that I was, in fact, her sister, not just someone who worked in finance. I set the phone down, trying to center myself. I could handle this. I had to handle this. But that didn't mean I had to like it, and it didn't mean I had to keep letting her treat me like I was invisible when the cameras weren't on me. The thing was, I wasn't just going to help her fix her wedding. I was going to show her what happens when you take someone like me for granted. I didn't know how yet, but I'd figure it out. For now, I had a call to make. Olivia might have had her world of high society, but she was about to learn what it meant to depend on me, and not just for my professional skills. I sat at my desk, staring at the phone in front of me. The weight of Olivia's dismissive gratitude lingered in the pit of my stomach. She had no idea what I was capable of, or maybe she didn't care. Either way, it wasn't going to be her way this time. I leaned forward, pulling up the details for the venue Olivia had booked. She'd mentioned the place so often, like it was the pinnacle of exclusivity. But I knew the company that owned it, an international luxury hotel chain. I'd handled financial deals for them before, even sent clients their way. I wasn't just familiar with the place, I knew how their system worked. I dug into the venue's website, then through some industry contacts. What I found was interesting. The venue had the reputation, sure, but their pricing wasn't as rigid as Olivia had made it sound. The packages were customizable, the guest list could be adjusted, and the services had more flexibility than she realized. A small, bitter laugh escaped me. Olivia had been so caught up in her high society image that she didn't even know the truth about the place she'd picked for her wedding. It wasn't about exclusivity, it was about her insecurity. The tighter the guest list, the more she could pretend to be a part of some elite world. The truth? It wasn't about who was invited. It was about who wasn't and who couldn't be. I pulled up the contact information for the venue and made a quick call. "Good afternoon, this is Emma Stone. I'm inquiring about availability for a venue booking on December 10th. The woman on the other end was polite, almost too much so. "Let me pull up the schedule for that date, Ms. Stone. One moment, please." The hold music played for a few seconds before she came back. "It appears there is a last-minute opening on that day. Would you like to proceed with a booking?" I smiled, a cold sense of satisfaction rolling over me. "Yes, I'd like to reserve it under my name, please." After a few minutes of confirming details, I hung up, feeling a strange combination of power and guilt. Olivia had made it clear she thought she was the one in control, the one with all the pull. But I had just shifted the entire course of her wedding, and she had no idea. I leaned back in my chair, the weight of what I'd done settling over me. It wasn't just about proving a point anymore. I was in control now. I could walk away at any time and let her scramble to fix it herself, but that wouldn't give me the satisfaction I was looking for. Not yet. I tapped the keys on my phone, composing a quick text to Olivia. "I've got everything under control for the wedding. I'll send you the details soon." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. I didn't need to tell her about the changes. Not yet. I wanted to savor the power I now held. For once, I wasn't just the sister who fixed problems. I was the one making the decisions. As I sat there, waiting for her inevitable reply, a thought lingered in my mind. How would she react if she knew? If she knew I had the power to change everything with one phone call? Would she even care, or would she just see it as another favor I was doing for her? I didn't have answers yet, but I had time to think it over, to enjoy the control I had reclaimed. Whatever came next, I was ready. It didn't take long for Olivia to call again. This time, there was a sense of urgency in her voice, a sharp edge I hadn't heard before. I didn't need to look at the screen to know it was her. "Emma, you need to help me. There's been a disaster with the venue. They're saying there's a scheduling conflict for December 10th, she said, her voice rising with panic. "Every other place is already booked. I can't afford to lose this one, not after all the work I've put into it. I need you to fix it, now." I sat back, letting her words hang in the air for a moment, letting the panic in her voice settle in me like cold water. It wasn't my problem. But this time, I wasn't going to be the one scrambling to make things work. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said calmly, "but I'm sure you'll figure something out. You've been handling all of this so well, right?" She ignored the sarcasm, her breath still coming fast. "No, Emma, I can't. You don't get it. This is it. The venue is everything. If I lose it now, it's over. You have to fix it. Please, I don't know who else to turn to." I could feel the corner of my mouth twitch into a smile. She sounded completely defeated. The same Olivia who had so easily dismissed me not long ago was now begging for my help. I cleared my throat. "Actually, Olivia, I think I already did fix it." There was a brief, confused silence. "What do you mean?" I secured the venue for you, December 10th. It's under my name now." Her reaction was immediate. "What? How did you even?" I leaned back in my chair, savoring the moment, the control I had over this situation. "Well, I know the right people. The venue had an opening and I jumped on it. So, yeah, it's all set. You don't have to worry about it anymore." The disbelief in her voice was almost palpable. "You've got to be kidding me. You did this? Just like that? How?" "Like I said, Olivia, I know the right people. It's just business. And sometimes things work out. She was still trying to process, but I could hear the hint of fear creeping into her tone now. I I can't believe this. You've really done this? I didn't know you had resources, I interrupted, letting the word hang in the air. Yeah, I have resources. More than you thought, apparently. There was a long pause, and when Olivia spoke again, her voice was more measured, though still shaky. Okay, fine. I guess I'm grateful. But this doesn't make up for everything, Emma. Oh? I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean by that? I didn't mean to, you know, exclude you before. You're my sister. I didn't think. You didn't think I'd notice? I cut in, my voice a little sharper now. You didn't think I'd care that you shut me out of your exclusive wedding because I wasn't part of your real world? You made me feel like I didn't belong, Olivia. And now you're treating me like some backup plan when things fall apart. That's not how family works. I could hear her breathing quicken, but she didn't interrupt. I I didn't mean it like that. I was just trying to make everything perfect. I'm under a lot of pressure, Emma. This whole thing is so overwhelming. Pressure? I repeated, keeping my voice level. You think I'm not under pressure too? I have a job, a life, things I have to do. But I still made the time to fix this for you, because I'm your sister. That's what family does. I know, she said quickly. I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have treated you like that, but I can't just forget about everything I've been planning. You know how important this is to me. I pressed my lips together. I wasn't ready to let her off the hook yet. Olivia, I'm still helping, but I need you to understand something. I'm not just some tool you can call on when you need something. You've been treating me like I'm invisible, like my life doesn't matter, and I'm done letting you walk all over me. I'm still your sister. And that's not something you get to take for granted anymore. She was silent for a moment, the weight of my words sinking in. I could hear her chewing over it, trying to form an apology that didn't sound half-assed. Emma? I was wrong, she finally said, her voice smaller now. I shouldn't have treated you like that. I'm sorry. I'll do better. I swear I didn't respond right away, letting her words hang between us. We'll see. But you need to show me, Olivia. Apologies don't mean much if they don't come with change. Another pause, then a quiet, resigned sigh. I'll do better. I promise. I won't take you for granted anymore. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Good. Now let's focus on getting this wedding together. I'll help you make sure everything goes smoothly. But remember, this is my way of helping you. Not just as the person who can fix your problems, but as your sister. The line went quiet again, but this time, there was no more panic in her voice, only a faint note of humility. Okay, thank you, Emma. I hung up without another word. I wasn't sure if she truly understood what I meant, but I wasn't backing down anymore. Not now, not ever again. The days after Olivia's call were a blur of emails, phone calls, and contracts. Olivia had gone from frantic to almost silent as I took over the details of her wedding. At first, she still tried to hover, calling me constantly, asking for updates, suggestions, and advice. Each time, I fed her just enough to keep her on track, but not so much that she could take control back. I was meticulous with everything, finalizing the venue contracts, confirming vendors, ensuring the services were lined up as promised. Each piece of the wedding puzzle slid into place with a precision I knew Olivia didn't have the patience for. She was too caught up in her image, in keeping up the appearance of perfection. And I knew deep down that she was starting to realize she couldn't do this without me. The more she called, the more I held back. I'm working on the photographer situation, I told her one afternoon, keeping my tone cool and detached. I'll update you when I have a final answer. She didn't like it. I could tell by the silence on the other end, but I didn't care. She had no idea what it felt like to be on the other side of her demands, to have to swallow the insults just to keep her happy. This time, I was calling the shots. I'd set the tone during our first conversation after the venue issue, but now it was official. I was in charge. Olivia needed me, and she knew it. Emma, I need your help with the dress fittings, she said a few days later. Her voice still carried that undercurrent of annoyance, but it was muted now, more desperate. Can you handle that for me too? You know, I have so much on my plate. You've always had such a good eye. You'll need to confirm that with the designer, I said calmly. I'll see what I can do once you've got the details worked out. Let me know when you have the time. I could hear the frustration in her sigh. She was used to people jumping when she spoke, but I wasn't doing that anymore. I wasn't going to chase her approval. I was done doing that. Fine, she said, exhaling sharply. Just let me know when you've heard back. I ended the call without much more than a talk soon. A few days later, another call. This time, Olivia was in full-on boss mode, demanding this, requesting that, all while still giving me backhanded compliments about my efficient lifestyle. Her voice dripped with the same condescension it always had, but it didn't faze me anymore. "You're really good at this," she said. "I can't believe how professional you are, Emma. Like, it's amazing how you handle everything without getting distracted by, I don't know, life. I mean, you're so dedicated. I don't even know how you manage it all. I'd be so bored in your position." She made a point of saying it like she was complimenting me, but the way she did it, like I was a lesser version of her, set me off. I smiled to myself, keeping my tone measured. "I don't find my work boring, Olivia. I'm just focused on getting things done. It's called professionalism. Something I know you appreciate now, right?" She paused, but I could tell she didn't quite know how to respond. I guess I let the silence drag out a little longer than was comfortable before I smoothly switched the topic. "I'll have a full rundown of the ceremony details by the end of the week. Don't worry, I've got everything under control." She almost sounded relieved. "Thanks, Emma. You're doing more than I could have ever expected. I mean, I didn't know you could handle this much. You've really impressed me." I nodded, though she couldn't see me. "Glad to hear it." Each call, each interaction was a little more strained. Olivia's thinly veiled digs at my modest life were becoming more frequent, but I knew it was a sign of her growing frustration. She needed me, and it was starting to gnaw at her. She didn't want to admit it, but she was dependent on me now, and I was fine with that. No one had ever respected me this much before, even if it was in the most backwards way possible. It wasn't about the wedding anymore. It was about the power I had taken back for myself. Every time she called for help, I could feel her desperation bleeding through. The more I handled, the more she realized how much she had underestimated me. But as the days passed, I grew more detached. The emotional weight of the wedding wasn't mine to carry anymore. It wasn't about helping Olivia now. It was about proving a point that had taken years for me to make. She wasn't the only one with power in this relationship. I was. The wedding day was getting closer, but I didn't feel the same excitement I once would have. This wasn't for her, not anymore. I was doing this for me, to show her I was capable, to show her that the world she tried to control could shift just as easily as it had for her, because I had more power than she could ever imagine. The closer it got, the clearer it became. I wasn't just going to fix her wedding. I was going to take control of my own place in her life, and nothing, not even her privileged world, could change that. The phone rang just as I finished sending the final details for the wedding itinerary to Olivia. I knew it was her before I even looked at the screen. I answered, setting the tone immediately. "What's up, Emma?" Olivia's voice was softer than usual, and it caught me off guard. "I've been thinking about everything that's happened, and I want to apologize." I raised an eyebrow, leaning back in my chair. "Apologize? For what exactly?" "For how I treated you." She hesitated, like the words were hard to get out. "For the way I pushed you aside. I didn't realize how much I was asking of you, and I see now how much you've done for me. I was wrong about you. I didn't understand." I stayed quiet, letting her continue, but I wasn't about to make it easy for her. "I didn't know how much you've had to sacrifice," she added, a little more sheepishly now. "I see that now, and I'm sorry for making you feel, well, like you weren't important." I didn't want to interrupt, but I couldn't just let this slide without saying something. "Olivia, it's not just about the wedding. It's about everything. You always treated me like I was just there. When it suited you, you made it clear that my life wasn't enough, and I let you get away with it because I thought family was supposed to be like that." Her voice wavered slightly. "I know I messed up, but I'm really trying to understand now, Emma. I do. I can't take back the things I said, but I want you to know I get it now. I was wrong. About you. About us." I paused, letting the silence between us stretch. This wasn't about accepting her apology so quickly, though. This was about making her understand, and more importantly, making sure I wasn't going to be her emotional backup anymore. "I don't need you to just get it, Olivia. I need you to show me you get it. Actions speak louder than words." "I will, I promise," she said quickly. "I really do want to make it up to you, Emma. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right. Whatever you need." Her words almost made me laugh. She still didn't get it. She still thought it was about fixing things with a grand gesture. She was so used to getting things her way that she thought saying the right thing would just smooth everything over. But it didn't work like that anymore. No, I said, my voice firm. You can't just make it up to me. You have to respect me. You need to understand that respect goes both ways, Olivia. And I'm not going to let you brush this under the rug. There was another pause on the other end of the line. Olivia shifted, clearly uncomfortable. Okay, but I don't know what you want me to do. I really don't. I could hear her frustration, but I wasn't going to back down. Not now. I need you to apologize in front of everyone, not just to me, but to the people you've invited to this wedding. I want them to see that I'm not just someone you can push around, I'm your sister. And I won't let you keep treating me like this. Her breath caught, and I could feel her hesitation. A public apology? In front of everyone? Yes, I said, my voice steady. I want you to stand up at your wedding and apologize to me, to everyone, for how you've treated me, for assuming that I'm beneath you. I don't know if I can do that, she admitted, the uncertainty in her voice clear now. I don't know if I can do that in front of everyone. You can, I said, my voice unwavering. You've made me feel like nothing for long enough, Olivia. If you want me to be there for you, and I'm still helping you at this wedding, in case you've forgotten, then you owe me this. I'm not asking for anything more than what I deserve. She exhaled sharply, and I could practically hear the wheels turning in her mind. I don't know if I can, but I'll try, Emma. I will. I'll apologize, in front of everyone, if that's what you need. I didn't smile, didn't soften. Good. I'm glad you understand. I need to know that you'll never forget this, Olivia. I need to know that you're going to respect me, not just because of what I've done for you, but because I'm your sister, because I matter. There was a long silence, and I could hear her swallowing whatever pride she had left. I'll do it, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll apologize, and I'll mean it. Good, I said, the weight of the moment sinking in. We're past the point of just being family, Olivia. Now we're on equal ground. Don't forget that. I hung up the phone, feeling a strange sense of closure. She still didn't fully get it, but I knew now she had no choice but to see me for what I was, her equal. Not just the sister she could control, but someone who could turn the tables when she needed to. The wedding would go on, but things would never be the same, and I was fine with that. The wedding day arrived with all the pomp and circumstance Olivia had been dreaming of for months. But this time, as I slipped into my dress and prepared to take my place at her side, I knew something had shifted. This wasn't just about the event anymore. It was about everything that had led up to it. Olivia was nervous, but not in the way I expected. She tried to act like everything was perfect, a flawless picture of grace and confidence, but I saw through it. I watched her eyes flicker nervously as she glanced at me, a half-hearted smile on her lips when our parents hovered nearby. Emma, I wanted to say thank you again, she said quietly as our parents were busy chatting with the photographer. Her voice was small, like she wasn't sure what to say or how to say it. For everything. For being here today. I nodded without looking at her. You're welcome. There was a pause before she spoke again. I'm sorry for how I treated you before. I never meant for things to get that bad, but I'm glad you're here now. I really am. I studied her face, waiting for the apology to sink in. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. Not after everything. She had said the right words, but they felt like they were coming from a place of obligation, not true understanding. You've said that already, I replied, my tone cool, unflinching. Let's just get through today. She looked at me for a moment, a flash of frustration in her eyes, but she said nothing else. I turned away, heading toward my assigned spot at the ceremony, trying to keep my face neutral, though I couldn't shake the feeling that everything she had built around this day, her guest list, her high society circle, was starting to feel more like a house of cards. The ceremony itself passed in a blur. Olivia looked beautiful, as expected, but her attention kept darting around, scanning the crowd like she was waiting for approval. I could see her eyes narrow when certain people didn't fawn over her as much as she hoped. It wasn't enough for her to be the bride. She needed to be the center of attention, the one everyone admired. The reception was where things really started to shift. I knew this was where Olivia was supposed to shine, surrounded by her exclusive guest list, basking in the glow of her social status. But as the night wore on, I started to notice something. My colleagues, high-profile clients, and other important guests began to circle me, complimenting me on how calm I was, how professional I seemed, how together I had it all. I had never been the one to seek attention, but tonight the spotlight found me regardless. And with each passing compliment, I could see Olivia's smile tighten, her eyes darting between me and the guests who now seemed far more interested in my career than hers. It wasn't a coincidence. Olivia's whole world had revolved around impressing a select few, but in the presence of real success, of people who respected quiet competence over flashy image, she was beginning to realize that her efforts to control the narrative had been in vain. The people she'd thought would shower her with adoration were more interested in me than in the elaborate world she'd tried to create. I didn't seek out the attention, but I didn't shy away from it either. I let the compliments roll in, speaking with the same calm, measured professionalism I always had. It was as if I could feel Olivia's discomfort rise with every word. I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of satisfaction, like I was finally getting to show her the value of what I brought to the table, the kind of respect and acknowledgement that had never been about appearances or status. As the night wore on, I found myself detached from the event in a way I hadn't expected. Olivia's wedding had always been her big moment, her chance to show the world how successful she was. But now, as the dance floor filled with guests whispering and laughing, I could see that her exclusive guest list wasn't nearly as exclusive as she'd thought. It was all smoke and mirrors. The people who mattered, the ones who could see beyond the glitter, were recognizing that it was the quiet, grounded moments that held true value. Olivia had built her entire life on a carefully crafted illusion of importance. And now, I watched as that illusion cracked, piece by piece. I could feel her frustration mounting as I moved through the crowd, engaging with everyone in a way that felt so natural to me. She hovered, trying to intercept conversations, but it was too late. Her discomfort was palpable, and I watched it unfold with a quiet sense of vindication. I didn't need to say a word. I didn't need to fight for my place at the table. The respect I had always sought, earned through hard work, not superficial status, was coming to me on its own. By the end of the night, Olivia was visibly exhausted, her bright smile now a little less convincing. As I watched her try to regain control, I realized I didn't need to worry about her anymore. She had learned a lesson tonight, one she wouldn't forget. She was never the only one with power. I had just as much, and I wasn't going to let her use me to boost her fragile sense of superiority ever again. And as I walked away from the reception, I felt at peace. I wasn't the one fighting for approval. She was. The wedding was over. The last of the guests had filtered out, the grand event reduced to a quiet, lingering hum of satisfaction and exhaustion. I had watched it all, the vows, the smiles, the forced laughter, and when it was done, I felt lighter, somehow. The weight of the past few weeks, the tension, the back and forth between me and Olivia, had dissipated in the chaotic beauty of the night. But as much as I had helped her, as much as I had reclaimed my place in her world, something inside me knew that I wasn't the same person I had been going into it. I wasn't the humble, invisible sister anymore. I wasn't the one who waited for scraps of respect or approval. I had taken what was mine, but in doing so, I had changed the dynamic between us permanently. And maybe that was a good thing. Maybe it was long overdue. I was standing by the door, slipping on my coat when Olivia found me. She looked different. Softer maybe, or just tired, the weight of the day now catching up with her. She stepped forward, hesitating for a moment before speaking. "Emma," she started, her voice low. I just wanted to thank you. Again, and I need to apologize." I didn't say anything, just looked at her. She was trying to be sincere, and part of me almost wanted to let it go. But I knew better. This wasn't just about her saying the right words, it was about how she said them, and what I needed her to understand. "I'm sorry for everything," she continued, her eyes searching mine. "For how I treated you before. You've done more than I could have ever asked. I see that now. I'm sorry, Emma. I really am." I nodded, but there was no rush to forgive her. Not yet. "I heard you the first time," I said calmly, not unkindly, but firm. "But I need you to understand something. This apology, it's a start, but it's not enough just to say the words. You have to show me that you mean it." She took a deep breath, like she was bracing herself for something harder than she expected. "I get it now," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been selfish, and I don't want to lose you. I don't." There was a quiet weight to her words, something I hadn't heard from her before. But as much as I could see she was trying, I couldn't pretend that everything would just go back to how it had been. I wasn't the same person anymore, and maybe neither was she. "I'm not the sister you used to know, Olivia," I said, looking her in the eye. "I'm not the one you can push around. I'm here because I chose to be, and it's going to stay that way, only if you respect me. Not just today, but moving forward. I'm not your backup plan anymore. You need to remember that. She nodded slowly, her face showing the first hint of real understanding. She wasn't fighting me on this anymore. She wasn't dismissing me. I will, she said softly, the words not a promise, but a quiet truth. I will, Emma. For a moment, we just stood there, the noise of the party distant, like we were in our own little world. It was strange, but not uncomfortable. It was as if we were both acknowledging that things had changed and there was no going back. Finally, I gave her a small nod. Good. I'm glad to hear it. I turned to leave, my hand on the door handle. But as I glanced back at her, I couldn't help but feel a sense of peace, even if it wasn't what I had expected. This wasn't the happy ending I had once envisioned for us, but it was better this way. We were no longer just sisters trying to keep things together. We were equals, in a way that had never existed before. As I walked out of the venue, I took one last look at the people milling about, the ones Olivia had spent so much time trying to impress. And in that moment, I realized something. It wasn't their approval I needed. It wasn't Olivia's either. I had mine. I had my own respect. And that was all I'd ever needed. I walked away feeling lighter than I had in years, knowing that I would never again be underestimated.